Alan Kieswetter with MEI and also CNO Resources. I am a retired Foreign Service officer, but also taught at the National War College and National Defense Intelligence College, and I did my best to change things, including the smart card that showed the various headdresses, and to no avail. I have continued to lecture at various military institutions of the past year since. I have to say, I come out much more impressed with how far the military has come rather than how there's still large gaps. And I also have a little troubled by your reference to putting off the elections, because there's a good argument to be made that there wasn't a culture to support elections. There wasn't a political structure to support elections. There may have been expectations, but that's a far cry from saying there was an anthropological case that we should have gone ahead.
Mm-hmm. My name is Karen Rochelle. I'm with the Institute for Multi-Track Diplomacy. How do you feel about anthropologists being embedded with the military to supplement the soldiers' cultural competencies?
Okay. Alan, right? Yeah. Let me. The training that you mentioned and that you're impressed with it, I'm impressed with it as well. I mean, I think it's quite amazing that the U.S. military wants every single person there to sort of have an understanding of culture. I mean, if they do, I think it is impressive. My conclusion is, the conclusion that I made is, like, so if everybody now understands culture and has this kind of non-judgmental way of doing things, how is that going to, I mean, how do you take military men and women who've been trained that everything is relative, and then you say, go, invade this country and change their way of life? That's where I'm saying that it'll be interesting to see how it plays out and if it is actually possible. After I went to the TRADOC Summit in April and heard what everybody's doing, and I've been looking at all their websites and reading all their material, I'm amazed. I mean, after 2006, the money and time and energy that has been put into changing this issue of culture and cultural training, because the high echelons of this have said now culture is important, is quite amazing. And I know a couple of the anthropologists who are involved in this, and they are really trying to think in terms of changing this. So, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, my point was not that that I'm not impressed with it. My point with this is it going to work? Is it going to be able to do that? And you say about the elections that there wasn't a culture to support the elections, but there never was. There's in a country that doesn't have elections, there's never going to be a culture to support elections. So that's why when you start with municipal, local level elections and you work through them, and to miss that opportunity, to have promised something and to miss that opportunity is, I think, what really kind of is a bad thing. If they weren't going to do it, they shouldn't have promised it in the first place, I would say. Because whether or not it would have worked or not, it would have at least shown Iraqis that Americans are keeping their word. And what it showed them instead was that Americans are not keeping their word. And I think even the political fallout from a bad election experience would have been better than what actually happened. But that's total speculation on my part. Anthropologists embedded in the military. The American Anthropological Association, as you probably know, has done a whole huge thing on this. I mean, they've talked about it for years now. They've come up with 80-page statements on it. I have students that I train that now are part of human terrain systems that are now on teams doing these sorts of things. I hope every day that they do not get killed. The human terrain systems has lost 3 people. 3. They're not all anthropologists, but have been killed in. My issue with it, there are very few actual anthropologists that serve in the military, particularly in the human terrain systems. The majority of them are social scientists, political scientists, sociologists, or other kind of people who have master's degrees and things. The number of anthropology PhDs who've served, I think you could count on 2 hands. The American Anthropological Association aside, my issue with it is that it's not what it's advertised. The human terrain systems, I think, says that it it's trying to make life better for the civilians there, et cetera. People who have served in the human terrain systems and some of the military who have had HTS members as liaisons have said, yeah, they do that, but yeah, they also gather intelligence for us. So I think if HTS was just much more upfront with it about it, then it wouldn't be this kind of, anthropologists could just say, that's wrong, and move on with it, rather than this whole dance around, oh, we're really helping people and we're really making people's lives better. Well, you may be doing that, but you're also collecting intelligence. You're also making it possible to kill other people. And the American Anthropological Association, as a association, unlike some of the other disciplinary associations, has a code of ethics, which we are trained in and which we all try to follow. And one of that is sort of do no harm to the people that you study. And it's not that you don't. Inevitably, because anthropologists are so self-reflexive, we think and talk about this stuff all the time. We inevitably do end up changing people's lives. But we like to think that we don't change people's lives for the worse. We actually try to change people's lives. I mean, we try not to change people's lives, but if it happens, it doesn't result in their death necessarily. So it's a problem. I mean, and it continues to be discussed.